We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Joshua Lane, and we're listening on the LA Talk Live radio network. Our guest today is Jeffrey Ansell. He's an ophthalmologist, and he's author of the new book published by Square One Press called Smart Medicine for Your Eyes. And while we're getting Dr. Ansell on the phone, I would like to read a new article just came in from Dr. Mercola on Mercola.com. That's MERCOLA.com. I find that that's a very excellent website that has some very carefully written and intelligent articles on wellness. And the story is mammography, that mammograms have limited or no effect on breast cancer deaths, according to a new study. And new research shows that mammograms have little or no influence on the number of women who die from breast cancer. Past research also found that the reduction in mortality as a result of mammographic screening was so small as to be non-existent. A mere 2.4 deaths per 100,000 person years were spared as a result of the screenings. And due to false positives, leading to unnecessary and harmful invasive procedures like biopsy, surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, mammograms often cause more harm than good. With only a few weeks to go before the annual October rush promoting mammograms begins, a new study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute is raising some doubts on mammography's purported merits. The findings showed mammograms have little or no influence on reducing the number of women who die from breast cancer. And considering there are serious health risks involved, too, what then is the point? Breast cancer mortality rates in Sweden have been declining since 1972. Even though this was before mammography was introduced, the reductions have continued, and many have attributed it to mammography screening. The researchers that authored the current study also expected to see a reduction in breast cancer deaths associated with mammograms, but the results showed otherwise. Quote, county-specific mortality statistics in Sweden are consistent with studies that have reported limited or no impact of screening on mortality from breast cancer among women aged 40 to 69. In light of these findings, the study's lead researcher at the International Prevention Research Institute in Lyon, France, noted, information to women on mammography screening should better reflect uncertainty on the effectiveness of that test and underline the risk of overdiagnosis and overtreatment. We'll return to Dr. Mercola later. I'm happy to say that Dr. Jeffrey Ansell is on the line. Dr. Ansell, the author of Smart Medicine for Your Eyes. Dr. Ansell, are you there?
I am here.
Very good, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for being a guest on my show. You have a new book just published by Square One Publishers, which I thought was very complete. And, of course, you have a lot of material in the book. If I could mention this right away, reading through the book, I was surprised to find the large number of side effects in vision in the eye caused by a variety of popular medications.
Right. Well, it's interesting, but the eyes are actually part of the body.
Yes.
So they'll be affected by different drugs and nutrients.
Yes, and obviously that, from your perspective, that's really clear. But I'm guessing that many people had no idea that the Prilosec they're taking, or the the lovastatin they're taking, or the other medications they're
Right.
taking, have oftentimes not a good effect on the vision.
True, and we're looking at the long-term health effects of the eye as well. So we're not sure, actually how some of these medications work on the eye on a long-term basis. So the eye is extremely sensitive. It has a lot of nerves, a lot of blood vessels. So everything is magnified, if you will, once you get to the eye structures.
Now, you are a graduate of what university?
It's actually the Illinois College of Optometry in Chicago.
Alrighty. And then you served in the United States Navy as an officer?
As an optometrist, right, in San Diego.
And so you helped establish a program for the Navy? Was that it?
Yeah. One of the programs we worked with was for dependents, was a vision therapy clinic, where typically children, or sometimes adults, but mostly children who have vision learning issues, a lot of times it's just the fact that they can't use their eyes correctly. So we help train them to use their eyes better. It's not muscle strength, but it's more like coordination. And we teach the children how to coordinate their eyes better so they can read more efficiently and learn better.
And was the program successful?
Very. Yeah, actually, we incorporated several different modalities. We have the corpsmen in the Navy, and then the ophthalmologists who were there. So we worked together as a good team to help these kids. Sometimes, if they had an eye surgery and their eyes were crossed or something like that, we could help them re-coordinate after they had the surgery.
Oh,
so
yes.
there's a lot of benefits there.
And I did also notice in your book that you mentioned the importance and the need for vitamin C in growing children, and that a inadequate amount of vitamin C could be a factor in some vision problems. Is that correct?
Yeah, we believe so. Vitamin C is obviously very important, and actually, when you look at the eye structure, there's some fluid in the eye that feeds the internal structures, and this fluid has over 20 times more vitamin C in it than any other fluid in the body. So vitamin C is extremely important, and also in the development and maintenance of the outer shell, the white of the eye. It's very important in maintaining that structure as well. So, and that's very important in growth.
And may I ask, what form of vitamin C is there an amount of vitamin C that you'd like to recommend for, say, a teenager or an adult that you feel is appropriate?
Yeah, it kind of depends. It's very, we know that the minimum daily requirements are very, minimum just to kind of keep you from getting scurvy, for example. But, there's unfortunately a magic number because a lot of it depends on their diet and their own metabolism. So at different ages, people have different metabolic rates, and so there are a lot of different factors. What I do in my office, though, is we test people and send them to a lab and have some blood tests to determine what their vitamin levels are in their body, and then we can make specific recommendations based on that.
Doctor, where is your office, by the way?
I'm about 25 miles north of San Diego.
What town is that? You please tell us.
Yeah, that's Carlsbad, California.
Carlsbad, California. Are you still associated
Right.
with the Navy?
No, I'm not in the Navy anymore. I've been, been in private practice here for close to 30 years.
Oh, I see. And where did you find the information about the need for a growing child, a young adult, and vitamin C? Where did you discover that?
Oh, just in the research that's being done on it. There's an area where you can look up abstracts on research studies that have been done, and when you look into the various vitamins, you can see what studies have been done, and you kind of extrapolate from that. It's very difficult to do vitamin studies because you can't do the standard studies that they do for pharmaceutical agents, drugs, because you can't have one group take a drug, another group not take the drug and see the difference. And similarly with, like, for example, vitamin C, you can't tell this group, okay, you take vitamin C for 5 years, another group not to take vitamin C for 5 years,
right,
and then see the difference. So that doesn't hold up. So, we try to look and see what the trends are, and, they try giving people different amounts of different vitamins and see what happens with that. So again, it's just looking into the research that's been done and extrapolating from that.
And has the information that you've published in your book, Smart Medicine for Your Eyes, the new book from Square One Publishers, are other ophthalmologists on board with your information? Because to me it seems excellent information, but it does seem that some people might be not so happy with your wellness approach.
Well, first of all, the traditional medical schools, they don't have much nutrition education, and it's a whole separate area that they need to really incorporate. And we don't look to, and certainly in my book, I don't recommend that people not go to their physicians
right.
and do alternative approaches. I want to make that very clear. What I call my approach is an integrative approach, where we can take, nutrition, reacts differently. It supports the body and it helps the body to function normally. And sometimes when things go wrong, it can help to repair the body. But, sometimes drugs are needed,
yes.
Depending on what people are doing and how they're reacting. So, the last thing I want to do is try to displace medicine, absolutely. But I like to integrate it. So, for example, if somebody's got a particular problem and they're needing to use a drug, well, if we can supplement the body with certain nutrients to help support the body to be able to fight that as well as, attack it with a drug, then they can work together and you get a better result, usually quicker.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, eye is very important to good health, and your book I thought was, I very much enjoyed your book, and of course, this is my subject, food is a healing tool, so I do like to keep up. And when I read your book, I thought, oh my goodness, there was so much in the book that I had never thought about and didn't recognize. And one of the sections that I thought was very important was your listing of various very common prescription medications and the effects they had on the vision. And the medications you list are in such wide use that it would seem that a lot of people could have trouble with their vision only because of the meds they were taking.
That's very possible. And it's difficult for the doctors to go over all the potential side effects of the medications. So, again, because the eye has such a rich blood supply, and, some of the most things you find by just looking into the eye are effects of hypertension, high blood pressure, and also diabetes. So these things affect, these are the most common maladies that we can find by, just looking into the eye itself. But, anything that's going to affect nerves, there's several different areas of the eye that have different nerves, and the retina itself is, all nerve tissue. As you know, the eye is connected to the brain, or part of the brain, and the retina is that part of the brain that we can actually see by looking into the eye. So there's a lot of connection between the body and the eye. And again, anything that's going to affect, the body drug-wise can easily affect the eye.
And have you been able to assist patients who have maybe developing glaucoma or pushing towards that, and really the problem was simply just a lifestyle change, that you've been able to help them?
Right. Lifestyle changes are certainly part of it. Obviously the biggest thing that people can do for themselves is to not smoke. That's one of the biggest issues we're running into. Things like macular degeneration. There's studies out that show that macular degeneration, which is literally a blinding disease that happens more as we age, is more likely if you're smoking. So that's the first thing we do. But a lot of lifestyle factors. I guess I have a little bit of an advantage being in Southern California, where a lot of people are concerned about wellness and their health and like being outdoors and doing things physically. So that helps, getting people to exercise and to eat properly and to maintain their proper weight. But diabetes is everywhere, and hypertension is everywhere. So I get patients in who have these issues, and all I can do is counsel them and say, look, we can get you glasses, but they'll only take you so far. If your eye is not healthy, then it may not see properly, and then this is the only thing we know what to do about it.
And do you find that just in general that the patients actually listen to you? I mean, by percentage, don't most of them listen to you? That's why they go to you. So when you make a suggestion, don't most try to act on it?
Right, and they do. And what I have is a network of other professionals I work with, where we can work together with the patient to help support them. See, you can't just say to somebody, "Well, just go do this," and have them change their entire lifestyle. That doesn't happen very often. People need help. They need coaching. They need to be shown what to do. So what I do a lot is I will diagnose some things and talk to people. I do nutrient evaluations in the office. But when it comes to the practical side, where the rubber meets the road, what do I do? I work with different, I work with chiropractors and acupuncturists and nutritionists and people like this to help support these people in getting over what they need to get over. For example, the nutritionist actually will go through the food store with them, show them what, how to read labels and how to choose food that supports them rather than the junk food. So it's a very hands-on type of process.
Well, that sounds like very good health care. That does sound like very good health care. So
actually, that's what it is. It's health care.
It's health care.
Disease management.
So you're in Carlsbad, and may I ask, your practice is thriving. You find that there are patients, there are people in the community who support your ideas. They seem to be happy with them. Is that correct?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm also the president of an ocular nutrition society. And so what we do as a society is we teach eye doctors how to incorporate nutrition into their practices by showing them what the research is and talking to them about office policies and procedures that they can use to incorporate this into their practices to help their patients as well. So we're trying to take it, actually it's an international organization, so we are trying to get the word out there that nutrition and lifestyle changes, can make a difference in the way people see.
And would you say, this is a little bit of a leading question, that the use of processed sugar is among the most destructive things as far as eye health is concerned?
Of course it is.
Okay, good, thank you.
And we know that sugar is pro-inflammatory.
Yes.
So anything that is an inflammatory condition, if you eat sugar, it will stimulate that inflammatory process and make it worse. So, we do need inflammation in our body because, if you get cut or get a bruise or something like that, the body needs to fight it, and that's the inflammatory response.
Mm-hmm.
But what we don't need is chronic inflammation, where the foods that we're eating are causing the inflammatory response on a regular basis. And that's where a lot of these disease processes actually start. So we know that, added sugars, you can't get away from sugar, period. And it's not like people are going to just eliminate it from their diets. But we try to minimize it and try to get to the more natural sugars, where possible, and to reduce the sugar intake, and then it gives the body a chance to function better, to work better without that inflammation being the cause.
And so when we're talking about sugar now, just so the listeners can be clear on this, we're talking about soda pop and cake and candy as being undesirable.
Exactly right, yes. All the refined sugars and refined carbohydrates that they have in there.
And when people consume
the classic
junk food, when people consume these junk foods, so the impact, what happens? The eye has less circulation, the eye gets hardening of the arteries. What exactly happens when people eat sugar?
Well, it's kind of complicated in how the inflammatory process works, but basically what we look at is the insulin that has to react with the sugar to incorporate it into the cells. And when we have what's called you might be familiar with the term the glycemic index.
Glycemic index, yes.
And this is a ranking of foods based on how the body treats the glucose that comes into their body.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we have, the insulin that we produce in response to the sugar has to balance out properly, because we don't want too much insulin in the body that's not reacting with the glucose. So if we have simple the junk foods or the processed sugars, they will spike up the glucose very quickly, and the insulin will try to keep up with it. And your body pumps out a lot of insulin to combat it, but then it falls very quickly. It stops producing glucose, and then the insulin takes a lot longer to be produced, and it winds up floating in the bloodstream without any glucose to react to. So it'll actually react to the blood vessels themselves. So we actually have too much insulin in the body without the glucose to attach to it. That's kind of the simplified way of looking at it.
And then,
what this does, it makes the blood vessels more fragile.
Makes them fragile, right? Thank you.
Right, and that's the problem again with diabetes, and we see this in the eye, is that the blood vessels in the eye are very small, very fragile blood vessels, and they will start breaking down and leaking blood into the eye, and therefore we lose our vision.
All right, thank you. That was a very clear explanation. Now, if a person is experiencing, let's say a person is diabetic and their vision is suffering, and they counsel with you, and you speak to them about the use of processed sugar as being undesirable, and they have more other lifestyle changes, can you, as an ophthalmologist, see improvement in their vision?
Yeah, it depends on how long they are, but they can't. It's not going to reverse a lot of this if they've had diabetes for years and years. I work with a particular nutritionist in San Diego who actually can reverse diabetes, and he does it with lifestyle changes and modifying their diets. And so, we will get, gradual transitions and changes certainly in their vision. Now, it kind of depends on what kind of damage has already been done. Mm-hmm. If the blood vessels are broken down too much and new blood vessels are forming, the new blood vessels are not as strong as the old ones, and so they're more likely to break and to bleed into the eye. If some of this has happened, sometimes they'll have some scarring in the eye. Very difficult to get that resolved. There may be some surgical procedures to do, but we try to avoid that if possible. Mm-hmm. So, we try to work with them. Obviously, prevention is a lot easier to work with, but again, it depends on how long the process has been going on and what kind of damage has already been done.
Alrighty, so we're chatting with Jeffrey Ansell, an ophthalmologist, author of a new book called.
Actually, I'm an optometrist.
Optometrist,
okay.
And
that's right. Yeah.
I'm sorry, optometrist. Sorry, and author of Smart Medicine for Your Eyes, newly published by Square One Publishers. We're going to take a very break for commercial messages, and we'll be right back with Dr. Ansell after these important messages.
Hello, this is Rafael Cohen-Bakri, and you are listening to Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live.
Walk, run, climb, play. Solgar number 7 can help. Feel the difference for yourself. Solgar number 7 actually shows improvement in joint comfort within 7 days. Now you can start to get back on track fast and pursue the activities you love. Solgar number 7 is a breakthrough in joint care with no glucosamine and no chondroitin. The advanced bioactives in Solgar number 7 help to increase flexibility, mobility, range of motion, and actually shows improvement within just 7 days. One capsule, once a day, is all you need. When stiff joints occasionally say no, Solgar number 7 says yes. Visit Solgar.com and learn more about Solgar number 7 today. That's www.solgar.com, www.solgar.com. Solgar number 7, official sponsors of Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane and LA Talk Live.
Hey, are you spending your time or are you wasting your time? Well, kill some time hanging out with Michael Collier, Brooks Jackson, and the whole crew at the Michael Collier Morning Show. I Get Up Late. That's every Tuesday, 3 until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you don't know what that is, you better get on the internet and look it up. And while you're there, go to latalklive.com and check me out.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. And we have on the phone with us, calling in from Carlsbad, California, Smart Medicine for Your Eyes, Dr. Jeffrey Anshel. Dr. Anshel, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for holding on the line. Now, we've talked a little bit about the problems associated with sugar. I do know that there are some herbal products that people feel can be helpful for vision, including, for example, bilberry. Do you have any thoughts on the use of these kind of supplemental products?
Well, yeah, first of all, on herbs in general, people need to be a little cautious because herbs can be dangerous. Just because it's natural, it doesn't mean it's automatically safe.
Yes.
So they need to, talk to somebody and make sure that they are, up to speed on what the herb is and how much of it to take. So, literally talk to an herbalist if they have one available. But also something like bilberry is an excellent herb to take. It does. There's a study that they looked at back in the World War II, showing that pilots from the Royal Air Force were eating bilberries, and that allowed them to see better at night. That was kind of what we call a soft science study,
right? And
I'm not totally convinced that was true, but bilberry has been shown to be very effective in helping the rods and the cones in the retina to metabolize better and reduce the oxidative effects on those rods and cones. So there's probably some good that can be come of it. But also, if somebody takes too much, they need to be cautious because it's a blood thinner. And if they're already taking either Coumadin or some other drug to thin their blood, if they're taking fish oils, if they're taking some other different ingredients to thin their blood, they might be overdoing it. So they need to be cautious about how much they're taking of something like bilberry.
And if a person was to use a bilberry, because actually when I used bilberry myself, when I first used it, it was a long time ago, I was very impressed how very quickly, like within a week, I thought my vision was better. I thought my clarity of vision and the ability to distinguish color, which I never thought I had a problem with, was better within a week, and I was just very impressed. I thought, that's interesting. I had no idea.
Right, yeah, no, it can be very effective, and, it kind of depends on where you're starting from. But taking bilberry would be, a good thing to do. Again, operation, maybe, I believe 100 milligrams, I think, is a good dose. But again, talking to somebody, making sure it's appropriate for you, depending on what other medications or other herbs you might be taking.
Are there any specific formulations that you are aware of that you know, that you have seen in your practice to be helpful for patients to improve vision?
Well, not specifically, because the vision. Here's the issue with vision in general: is that these changes are painless and slow to develop. So people, maybe their vision isn't as clear, and but there's no pain, and they don't realize it. So things take a long time to occur. Now, as far as the nutrients go, I'm under the view of one size doesn't fit all, but as we age, and certainly this is important for the over 50 population, we don't absorb the nutrients as well as we used to. And there's no one magic ingredient that's really going to make a difference for people in a lot of ways. So these nutrients, for example, we know that spinach is a very good source of lutein, and lutein is one of the carotenoids in the eye that's very important for maintaining what we call macular function, or part of the retina, to make sure it's functioning well. Well, we don't eat spinach just because it has lutein in it. It has all kinds of other ingredients and nutrients that really help it work in the body. So I prefer to have a well-rounded, full-spectrum, multiple vitamin and mineral supplement that people take. And the way I term it to people is I say, okay, this is a full-spectrum multiple vitamin with all the eye stuff in it. And basically, there's some nutrients that we know that are very good for the eye and need to be taken on a regular basis. But a lot of these, again, require other nutrients to help get them to the eye and to get things balanced out properly.
Mm-hmm. All right, that seems like a very fair assessment. And if I can ask about a specific nutrient, the trace mineral zinc. Is zinc? I know, of course, many nutrients are important, lutein, obviously. But what about the use of supplemental zinc and vision problems?
Well, zinc is very important. First of all, it's the main for us is that it's very important in the transport of vitamin A, and vitamin A is in the retina. So, yes, zinc and vitamin A work very well together. But this is definitely one of those times where more is not better. And so we need to make sure we balance it out. For example, there was a study done several years ago that had about 80 milligrams of zinc on a regular basis, people who were in their 70s and 80s. And the study came out positive for people. They didn't get vision improvement, but they lost vision more, which,
Excuse me, Dr. Ansel,
but
are you having some problems with your phone?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you having some problems with your phone? You're kind of cutting out there a little bit.
Yeah, you've been cutting out for most of the conversation, but I'll try to, take it slowly here.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good. Sorry. This is live internet radio, sir. This does unfortunately happen. So you're talking about 80 milligrams of zinc.
Right. Yeah. The study had 80 milligrams of zinc, but now they're doing a next phase of the study, and now they're lowering the zinc down to 25 milligrams, which is a more practical dose. So zinc is very important, but again, in moderation. About no more than 40 milligrams a day on zinc. That would be a maximum.
Is there a preferred form of zinc that you like to recommend? Picolinate, citrate, chelate, anything you want to recommend?
Monomethionine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the one form of zinc that does not require copper supplementation. It does not deplete copper in the body.
Uh-huh.
So typically if you have zinc, you need to supplement with copper,
right,
because they, again, work together. But if you take the zinc monomethionine form, you don't need to supplement with the copper.
That's very interesting. I remember in 1983, Carl Pfeiffer's book came out called Zinc and Other Micronutrients. And that was one of the first books I ever read, which talked about the value of zinc. And since I read Pfeiffer's book, I've been kind of a big fan of zinc ever since. And I have not seen this information about the zinc monomethionine. And is this available commercially, this form?
Yeah, it's in the multiple vitamin that I recommend. What I recommend is called Macula Complete, and the company that makes it is called BioSyntrex.
Okay.
And they only market through eye care professionals or on their website. And their website is BIOSYN, like Nancy, TRX, BioSyntrex.
And they have a formulation that you have looked at and feel this is a good formulation and your patients are doing well on it.
Right. They actually specialize in eye nutrients. So that's one of the reasons I looked at this company very closely. And all the scientific rationale about their nutrients are on their website. The formulators are on their website. You know who's working with it. It's not a lot of hype and outrageous claims and promises.
Sure.
It's very scientifically based. And one of their main products is called BioTears, which is for dry eyes, which is kind of an under the radar type of problem because many people, especially women over 40, have dry eyes and don't realize that there's something you can do about it, rather than just putting in, eye whiteners over the counter, and they can actually make that condition worse. So I used this company's BioTears on patients, and they were thrilled. And people were getting better, and their eyes were not dry anymore, and they were very happy with it. So it's worked out very well. And then, members of my family have been taking the Macula Complete and notice an energy difference in taking it. So, I've been taking it for a long time myself, but, I don't really notice much of a difference. And it may be the fact that, my lifestyle's, it may be my lifestyle supporting, my body so that I'm in pretty good shape to begin with. So the difference isn't a major one.
Right.
But other people that I know have had very positive responses to the Macula Complete as an overall vitamin and for their eyes as well.
Right, because some people think that all supplements are exactly the same, and they need to realize that is not so. And may I ask you about dry eye? So many people have dry eye, men and women, and is this as a function really, is much of it caused by the use of medications?
Oh, there are several things that can cause dry eyes. And the more we look at it, the more we find. Lots of medications, high blood pressure medications. If you have an autoimmune disease like lupus or Sjogren's syndrome or some of these other autoimmune diseases, people who work on computers, and that's pretty much everybody, tends to get dry eyes when they work on their computers.
And why is that?
We see that.
Why does the computer? Yes.
We think that, number one, actually studies have shown that we blink about 1/3 of our normal rate when we look at a computer than we do when we're not reading or looking at computers. Oh. So typically people were, in this particular study, people were blinking about 22 times a minute. And when they were reading a book, they blinked only 10 times a minute. And they were looking at a computer, it was only 7 times a minute. So they were blinking about 1/3 of normal when they were looking at a computer screen. So they don't blink enough. And then the ergonomic industry likes to, think that people need to sit up straight and deal with this carpal tunnel problem that people have, making sure their posture is correct. Well, the truth is we don't sit up straight in our chairs, and we do lean back, and we should be leaning back, and we look at the angles of the eyes and the head and the neck and shoulders. And so what they've done is they decided, well, people need to sit up straight, so they take their monitor and put it up at eye level. Well, that's not the best way for us to focus on something up close, is at eye level, because when we read our books, we hold them down toward our lap.
Yes.
So that's different. And so 2 things with the eye level setup is, number one, the eye is open wider looking at the screen, so there's more chance of a tear evaporation. But number 2, it's harder to blink because our eyes are open wider. So those are a couple of issues that we look at for computer use.
Okay, that's interesting. And what about, I've read that oftentimes there's a certain high level of mercury given out by the screen. Is that an issue? Could that potentially be an issue as well?
Not that I've heard of.
Okay.
Maybe 25 years ago, but certainly the newer screens these days have such minimal radiation coming out of them. It's very unlikely it's going to be affecting your eyes.
Yes. No, actually, radiation I'm unsure of, but I was asking specifically about mercury, the heavy metal.
No, I haven't really heard anything about that either. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay. That's why you're the guest. I'm asking you these questions. I do not know. And by the way, once again, can you please tell us where your practice is?
I'm in Carlsbad, California, which is about 25 miles north of San Diego, right up the coast.
And would you like to give us your information so people will call you?
Sure. Okay. My phone number is 760-931-1390. And actually they can look at my website, which is CV Consulting. It's Charlie Victor, consulting.com. It also stands for it stands for Corporate Vision Consulting, which is the business I run to talk to corporations about computer use in the workplace. But I also do a lot with nutrition, and there's a link there that goes to my other nutrition website, which is ocularnutrition.info.
All right. And so we have been speaking with Dr. Jeffrey Ansell, the author of a new excellent book from Square One Publishers called Smart Medicine for Your Eyes. Dr. Ansell, thank you for being a guest on Here's to Your Health.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. And we're going to take a very short break and play some commercials, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more. exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Lynn Kaufman, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for our all-new show, Losing It Live. We'll share all the latest weight loss strategies, food news, tips for the holidays, travel, and we'll even talk about emotional eating. If you've ever tried losing weight and are still struggling, check us out. And if you haven't yet begun the journey to better health, tune in and let us help you. So don't forget to listen and watch us on Losing It Live, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also find us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hello world, how you living? This is D. Brex, your host of the all-new rap project here on LA Talk Live. That's latalklive.com, or you can find me on iTunes Radio in the R&B section. That's the rap project every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. West Coast time, so don't be late. On the Rap Project, I will be playing the very best of rap and hip-hop that goes beyond the ordinary. So connect with me, your host, D. Brax, the rap connoisseur, on the Rap Project every Wednesday at 7, right here on latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. I'm your host, Josh Lane. And our guest this segment is Diane Rini, who is an energy healer, who is the president of an organization called ALL Within, Alchemy of Love and Light. It's an organization that offers healing, knowledge, and techniques to accelerate and empower our spiritual growth on every level, emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental. Diane, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being a guest. So you work with wellness ideas of a progressive nature, and you work with nutrition, etc. So tell me about your new organization.
Well, I thought that it would be so ideal to have an organization that would represent the whole person on an emotional, spiritual, and mental level, so that it's not just the spiritual, the energy healing. It's not just nutrition. It's not just one thing. It's a collective attitude, way of being. And to be able to nourish that and to share the gifts that I've learned to others, and on a collective level, when everybody is working on these levels, it's so wonderful. I mean, people would be able to feel confident enough within themselves, love themselves, heal themselves, and heal others. And I believe that this is the advance. This is what's going to be happening in the future. This is the big picture. And we're finding, just like the guest that you just had, there are so many doctors that are believing in this way. So it's marrying the Eastern and the Western way of living, and directing the healings and the care on a more personal level that used to be a long time ago, but doesn't happen and exists now.
So a lot of people seem to be moving towards this wellness perspective, And it seems to be picking up steam because it has merit. It's not just fashionable. If it was fashionable, it would have faded away in the 70s. The ideas had merit, and so they really have legs now. I mean, people are really paying attention. So if a client comes to you, and if they have a health problem, you counsel them. Well, how would you counsel a client?
First, you would talk with them, and you sit there and you listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
You allow them. Because when somebody is coming to you, there is something that's not right. They're not maybe they're just not being heard.
Right.
And when you listen and really listen, and then you start asking questions, and there's no remedy that I can do. I'm not the healer, okay? I'm working on myself because I'm the vessel where the light works through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you don't diagnose anything, but you listen, and then I would have them make an intention, create an intention for the healing first.
What does that mean exactly? What does that mean?
An intention of what you expect out of this healing. What do you want to do? It's not what I can do for them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to say that, but it is how they can help themselves.
Yes.
And with that process, you set an intention, you set a goal or something how you want to receive this healing, and maybe it's to clear any blocks away so that I can make better choices for food. Maybe it's to clear my heart center so I can receive more love. Whatever their intention is.
Okay, that seems like a nice, important one for maybe everybody. So
Right.
if a person says, I need to clear away blocks so I can receive more love. So that seems very nice and important. And so how do you help that person?
So with them setting that intention, that opens it up and it opens up to the heavens as well, and they hear the intention. We do have guides, and we do have a spiritual connection. Some are more open to that connection, and some are just starting. Some are not at all. So I have them be quiet. They're laying down on my table, and I do energy work on them, whether it be clear light healing, which I teach as well for students.
Okay, so let's give a definition. What is clear light teaching?
Clear light healing is the transformation light. It's the light from the universe. The universal, you can call him God, you can call him or her, it's not denomination, but it's what you relate to. For me, it's the universal force, God's light and love. There is no religion attached to it. And with that light comes through my hands because I've been activated, and my third eye that I work on to bring the light in as well, and that transforms into their body. Now, with clear light, we work on 3 levels. We work on the physical. So then I would go hands-on, their organs, and spread the light there. The light it comes through my hands and gives them that healing that they need at that time for each of the organs, and it clears blocks, and I can feel them. You can sometimes feel them and see them, and then it starts to flow much more freely, and you can tell the difference. Then after the first level, the second level, I work above their body, and that's where thoughts are actually where all disease starts, the thought patterns. And with clear light, there are moves that I've been taught that will hopefully get rid of, or at least stop at that moment of time, and will last for as long as that person can hold that feeling. Because it breaks in from within, it breaks down from within, because their thought patterns, they start to get away from the pure thinking and the pure healing part. So with that's the third level. That's the second level. So that's the thought patterns and removing thought patterns so they don't settle in to cause the dis-ease. And then it's the spiritual level that we do, and that's working with the brain and balancing the right and left side of the brain and clearing their blood. And then the process lasts for about 40 minutes. And then what I receive information from that, and from the healing. And then after the healing, we will talk, and I'll let them know what I've received as far as messages and affirmations for them to maybe say to concentrate. So I'm receiving all this information. I'm just the vessel. Okay, so I'm not responsible for what they take with them home.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work on yourself. It's not a miracle working thing. There are some things where, oh my God, I feel much better. You will feel a sense of balance. Some will feel more than others. You can't put 100 watts of energy into a 60-watt bulb. Okay, so every session that you take, it can't just be one session, and for others it can be. But I do suggest packages, because the more often that you do receive the healings, the more often your body sort of absorbs it better.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start there, and then I'll do an intuitive card reading and listen to them and what, how they felt, how they felt with the energy, and if they felt anything. And if they didn't, that's fine too. They still receive the energy.
Okay, so my question then is, what is an intuitive card reading?
Intuitive card readings, we have tools. I am not a psychic. Intuitive card, it's so hard to say, because you're also
speaking tarot cards here?
I'm using angel cards. I'm using wisdom cards.
I'm not familiar with those. What exactly are those? Are those new decks?
They're decks of cards that have different energies to them. And
are these offshoots of tarot? Are these
similar? No, they're not tarot, but they're different messages.
And who is the creator of these angel cards, which I'm unfamiliar with? Who?
Well, Doreen Virtue is one.
Dawn Virtue.
Doreen Virtue.
Doreen Virtue, who's a contemporary of ours, is she not?
She's an angel healer. And there's quite a few others that I don't know the names of. I just am attracted by their energy. So
people then pull cards.
I'll have them pull 3 cards. Right. They could think what they want to do and what they have. If they have any questions, or if they just want to be open for what the universe wants to tell them through these cards. So that could happen at a session if I feel it's needed. And then we'll talk about nutrition. I also work with the pendulum, which is a great tool. And then we just end it on what they want to work on, if they want to continue, and there you go. And then you answer whatever questions you can for them.
And do you have experience working with tarot cards with patients, or
yes.
on your own? And
yes.
And may I ask this?
I should have brought some.
Your experience with tarot cards, you found them to be accurate?
Accurate to a sense. With the cards that I do with my clients, after their healings, and then I tell them, or I give the information that's been given me, if there has been any, and we talk a lot about a lot of issues that have come up through the healing. And then when they do the cards, it just validates everything, and then gives them a little direction on what they might want to consider doing.
And have you found that when you've gone to therapists who use tarot, or use tarot for your family or friends, that you have found that you've been given accurate information?
I have, and then you haven't. So it's who you go to, and
hopefully you go to someone who can really actually read tarot cards and interpret them appropriately.
Exactly. But
and do you do that yourself? Are you skilled?
No, I don't do the tarot.
Okay.
I don't do tarot. If you're talking about just tarot cards and I'm going to read your fortune, no, I do not do that. I do not do that. That's not the purpose for me for those cards.
I've had some experience with tarot readings,
Mm-hmm.
and I was always very pleasantly surprised that they were just right on the money. I thought to myself, how can this be?
Yeah.
And for me, it was good, because I tend to be a little bit on the fixed side anyway. And then when I was exposed to the tarot, I thought, wait a minute, this answered exactly what I asked.
Yeah.
It answered it exactly. And I thought, wow, not only was I happy with the answer, but I thought, how can this be? How can this be? I thought...
It's magic.
No, I didn't think it was magic. I thought,
it's not.
Aha, there's more to the universe than I previously suspected. And that has been very good for me on a personal level, besides the fact that the information given to me was exactly on the money, I thought also, oh my God, there's much more to it. And for that, I am very thankful. That has been good for me.
It's a great direction. And that's when and it's not necessarily just a tarot card. There's other cards that do. And when it does say exactly what you had just spoke about and the information you just gave, and it just refer to that on a very high level, they're just very amazed as well. But understand, okay, so that's what, it also opens them up, their minds up a little bit to say, yeah, there is more than just this tangible table here.
Yeah, I think it might for many clients who think, oh, wow, we had no idea. So to me, it seems like a good thing, not a bad thing. Some people in certain organized religions are opposed to that. They are very much opposed to it. And okay, but my experience has been it doesn't seem to interfere with any organized religion. It doesn't seem to. It just seemed kind of an addition, possibly. I'm not quite sure what exactly the correct term, but it doesn't seem to be a problem.
It's a direction. It's information that you need to know at that certain time.
And so let's say patients come to see you, and something as simple as drinking soda pop is a bad idea. Do you ever run across patients who actually have never heard that before and are shocked to hear that?
You know, that's one thing as well as with the education of nutrition, because that is part of the whole package as well. It's not only your spiritual and emotional and mental state, which is very important, but the food is secondary. When we are balanced and happy in our career, in our relationships, in our life, we tend to eat healthier. We tend to
you think so?
We tend to make better choices. I truly believe so. And then it comes the food. So there are people that don't really care what you say about sugar and this and that, but when they start feeling bad and it's inevitable if you're eating sugar and white sugars and white flours and what have you, you're going to feel the repercussions of it all. So you're coming and you're saying, well, this is the problem, but actually it's this. So if you can improve your diet, it can also help you in other ways that you might think that it had nothing to do with. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do
understand.
Yes,
it's like in a direct or indirect way. So
you're saying that if a guy is going to a bar and drinking 18 beers at night, that the problem might not be the 18 beers, but the reason he's in the bar in the first place.
Right, exactly.
Just to make a little joke there.
Exactly.
Okay, yes.
He might just not want to go home. So, or he didn't like the beer. Anyways, so the best thing I think is to complete the whole person is also integrating the nutrition. So I'm also these past 2 years I'm learning and going to school and gathering as many tools as I can so that I can offer my clients a whole package. And part of it is the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which I'm in the process of doing, and will be a holistic health coach in a year certified. And this school is phenomenal. It's online. Out of New York, Joshua Rosenthal is the owner and the creator of this school. And we are learning, there's no specific diet for anybody. Right. We're learning all about all the diets, where everybody has their own fine tune-up, their own, you talk about their emotions, their thoughts, their feelings, everything. And then you start not saying don't do that, don't take that sugar in the very beginning, because you have a 6-month program that you're on with them, that you're going to be assisting them. So little by little you crowd these foods out. You say, okay, if you're going to drink your soda, okay, but add in a green drink, a fresh green drink. Add in a few more salads. Little by little, people will not really stick to a diet or any form of change if you say you have to do this right now.
Oh, right. Yeah, no.
You have to only buy organic food. You have to don't do that. If you're doing conventional, we'll do more salads then. If it's conventional, fine. But then after that, you give them the information of how badly they're sprayed and what you're getting and the antibiotics and all of that. It's
Diane, hold that thought. We're chatting with Diane Rini, president of All Within, a energy healer, and we'll be right back with Diane after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk. Brooksy, maker of fine laptop apparel, laptop covers and sleeves, iPhone covers, and unique home decor. Brooksy laptop sleeves are made to order and can be custom made to fit your computer. Just send a message with your order telling us the model and the dimensions of your laptop, and we'll make you your very own sleeve in whichever design you choose. Any of the pillow designs can be turned into laptop sleeves too. Remember, Brooksy for all your computer embellishment needs. You can find Brooksy at www.brooksy.com. That's BROKESY.com. And remember to tell them that you heard it here on LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Journey Sisters is an organization that embodies and captivates women from all walks of life. Our membership includes 44 women that are constantly growing in the areas of personal development and community involvement. Monthly, we offer free leadership classes at McCade's Restaurant. Journey aims to inform women in the areas of heart disease and HIV and AIDS. Experience the journey now by logging into www.journeymosaicinc.com. Toll free 888-906-5519. Journey with no excuses.
Walk, run, climb, play. Solgar number 7 can help. Feel the difference for yourself. Solgar number 7 actually shows improvement in joint comfort within 7 days. Now you can start to get back on track fast and pursue the activities you love. Solgar number 7 is a breakthrough in joint care with no glucosamine and no chondroitin. The advanced bioactives in Solgar number 7 help to increase flexibility, mobility, range of motion, and actually shows improvement within just 7 days. One capsule, once a day, is all you need. When stiff joints occasionally say no, Solgar number 7 says yes. Visit Solgar.com and learn more about Solgar number 7 today. That's www.solgar.com, www.solgar.com. Solgar number 7, official sponsors of Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane and LA Talk Live.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Miss Margot Hudson and the hottest new love and relationship radio show,
Destination Love Life, where love and wellness come together as one.
Every Monday at 10 a.m.
Join us as we give the latest in love advice,
tips,
interviews,
news,
call-ins,
games,
and giveaways.
Exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream. Use your Android phone, iPhone, iPad, whatever you have, prepaid, BlackBerry, let's do it.
Destination Love Life, every Monday, 10 a.m. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure.
And
we are more than just talk. Health, love, healing, laughter.
The Margot Hudson Way, every Monday, 10 a.m. Ooh, right in your ear hole.
Ooh, Rob, I like your brain.
I've never heard nobody say they want to suck on my intelligence.
Crazy. We'll see you there, everybody.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute. Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Josh Lane, and we're listening on the LA Talk Live radio network. Our guest is Diane Rini, an energy healer, intuitive healer, with an organization called All Within, the Alchemy of Love and Light Within. And we were just taking a break, and Diane's been a guest on the first segment. And so what was the next idea you wanted to mention about?
I want to mention also that all of how important it is to pass on your knowledge to others.
Sure.
And it's so wonderful when you have learned all of these tools and gathered all that, and it is possible to teach that and to pass it on and to to activate others and to get them all interested in healing themselves and know that it is possible, especially now with healthcare the way it is. And I see visions in the future that, we are going to be our own healthcare, and we are going to be healing with herbs and eating wonderful foods and being able to lay our hands down on our loved ones that are hurting and heal them as well as they can do the same for us. So it's preparing. This is the preparation time for everybody to get on that spiritual shift, which is happening more and more.
I think actually it is happening as we adopt ideas from various cultures. I had the herbalist William Broen on my show, who does a lot of herb walks. He's really knows the subject, and he was mentioning. It was last week. He said, herbs are not new medicine. Herbs are the medicine. Yeah. It's the new drugs that are the new drugs. Exactly. The new approach. The herbal medicine. Every culture has always used
thousands
plants
of years
to heal,
right.
And then since maybe 1940 or etc., when antibiotics came out, of course they were revolutionary. Then really there was a monster shift, and now I think there's a pushback towards the recognition of the value of medicine for sure, but also a need to reestablish patterns in the body of health that include cleaner environment and more careful eating and exercise, etc., and other ideas, and those are traditional ideas.
Yes, and it's like a cycle. It goes and it comes back, just like in fashion. The old styles come back with the new and the new. It's inevitable. That's just our life, which is wonderful. And Ayurveda medicine has been based on herbs that grow right out of basil.
Right.
That grow right out in your backyard. So it's getting back to all this and getting informed and learning, and then also passing on. What I want to do and what I've been starting to do now is teaching the techniques and providing the tools for others for the clear light healing. I find it's one of the most simplest forms and the most purest, as far as not having to not that it's the most purest, and I take that back because they're all pure.
Okay,
they are all pure.
We
but
forgive
it
you.
Works. Yes, please everybody. I do work with energy, with Reiki energy as well. And there's so many modalities. It's like a smorgasbord now, this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
We can, whatever we resonate with, there's just a whole field full of modalities that are doing this, that are doing the main goal as healing. And so that's a wonderful thing in this lifetime. Another wonderful thing in this lifetime is that we can talk about it. You can have radio shows on it. You can do healings, right. And we don't get burned at the stake, and we don't get arrested, and we don't, die because of our beliefs.
Well, we might.
But we
try not to.
Yeah, we try to be careful. But I mean, so now is the wonderful lifetime, which it is on this lifetime right now, and to be able to really start focusing on our higher consciousness and to cultivate that, because it does need to be cultivated. And
well, people have to understand. People do have to learn some ideas.
Right.
I mean, we're not necessarily born knowing everything. We do have to study, right? We have to
the
information.
We are, but we block all that anyways, and we relearn ourselves. We relearn. Does that about ourselves?
I guess so.
Okay.
Seems fair.
Make my own little words here, but so it's just choosing these modalities that resonate with us. And I have students that I teach clear light healing to, and activate their hands and their third eye so that they can carry that on and teach if they want to. There's 2 workshops, and that's what and you can do it with Reiki. You can take Reiki classes. You can take Theta healing. They're all absolutely wonderful and beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I feel is teaching, that is to carrying it on, and so that when everybody is in this spiritual mode, Isn't that wonderful? They can heal. Everybody can heal each other.
It does sound
That's
good.
how powerful.
And where can people contact you for information about your programs? Where do you teach?
They can contact me at they can go to my websites. They can call me. They can email me.
Okay,
I have two practices.
Give information. Go ahead, give information.
Okay. They can call me at 310-279-0162. And for all listeners today, I will offer a clear light healing session, 90 minutes for $75. So my usual one my regular rate is $160. And then for classes, they can call me and we can arrange dates on when I do.
Let me have your phone numbers once again.
It's 310-279-0162. I also have a website is www.dianerini1@yahoo.com. And Diane is with 2 N's.
Just spell it.
So DIANNERINI with the numeral 1 at yahoo.com. And that's my email. My website is Clear Light Healing, so ClearLighting, Clear Light. No, it is, sorry about that. Clear Light, like it sounds, healing, -DRINI.com. How's that? That's simpler.
Sounds very good.
Okay, that's simpler. And I practice. I have a practice in Venice, and also I share an office, and I'm not there all the time, so you need to call by appointment only at Dr. Shadle's. It's a chiropractic office in Fairfax and 6th Street.
Okay, that sounds very good.
Yeah.
Sounds very good. We've been chatting with Diane Rini of All Within, Alchemy of Love and Light, I'll use the word energy or spiritual healer, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Brooksy, maker of fine laptop apparel, laptop covers and sleeves, iPhone covers, and unique home decor. Brooksy laptop sleeves are made to order and can be custom made to fit your computer. Just send a message with your order telling us the model and the dimensions of your laptop, and we'll make you your very own sleeve in whichever design you choose. Any of the pillow designs can be turned into laptop sleeves too. Remember, Brooksy for all your computer embellishment needs. You can find Brooksy at www.brooksy.com. That's BROKESY.com. And remember to tell them that you heard it here on LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Beauty magnets. Cleopatra's beauty ritual. Beauty magnets are a modern-day spin on an ancient beauty secret. Beauty magnets are a unique system of relaxation, revitalization, and renewal. Face and spirit reach a new level of balanced beauty, making you look and feel radiant. Tiny charged magnets increase circulation, promoting the look and feel of a natural lift. Face and spirit reach a new level of balanced beauty. De-stress your face with magnet therapy. Beauty Magnets of Beverly Hills, Hollywood. Available at www.beautymagnets.com. That's www.beautymagnets.com. Beauty Magnets, Cleopatra's beauty ritual, and proud sponsors of Elena's Beauty Talk.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. I'm your host, Josh Lane. And our guest at this segment is Sridhar, who has been involved with wellness and progressive ideas for a very long time. And he is the promoter, founder of Bhakti Fest, which is going to be held in September 6th to the 9th out in Joshua Tree here in California. Sridhar, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on the show. And I'm actually very happy to have you here because absolutely you're one of my contemporaries, and I can relate to your thinking, actually, the way I might not be able to relate to the 21-year-olds who have a different take on it and possibly a more advanced take than we. And so just by way of presentation, you brought Swami Satchidananda to Woodstock for the festival in '69.
Yes, I was a young yogi studying with Swami Satchidananda at the time, and also hanging out with Michael Lang and Artie Kornfeld, who were the producers of Woodstock.
Yes.
Right. And during our hanging out, they used to ask me what was missing of Woodstock, and they had the greatest musicians, or great to-be musicians, and I said, well, the spiritual aspect is missing. They said, what do you mean by that? I said, we need to have one of the Swamis come and give the invocation. So they said, okay, you produce that part of the event. So we flew Swami Satchidananda up in a helicopter. You actually see all this in the Woodstock movie.
Oh, for sure.
And he's standing behind stage looking at 500,000 people, and we're talking. You see me walking him up on stage. And at that moment, I realized nobody was there to introduce him. Actually, the first act that was supposed to go on at Woodstock got up on the stage and ran away into the woods. No one ever found out who that was, but they were so afraid.
Really?
So they were 2 hours late, and they looked around, they grabbed Richie Havens, and they put him up on the stage as the first opening act. And as he was strumming in the back, warming up, I mean, he was sweating, and he was like dying.
He was nervous,
First time he's seen more than 5 people, I'm sure. It was
Right.
He performed in front of that. So I'm walking up on stage. You actually see this in the movie, the director's cut of Woodstock, and I say, oh, my God, we don't have anyone to introduce Swami. So I say to Richie Havens, oh, by the way, Richie, can you introduce Swami? And he looks at me and says, get out of here, kid, right? He says, like, he was so nervous about going up. Eventually I had Chip Monk, the announcer. He announced him. But it was such a beautiful opening to Woodstock. And at that moment, I looked at that crowd and I said, wow, can you imagine if we got all these people together doing yoga and chanting the holy names? How would that be? And that was 40 years later, 2009, we started our first festival.
Well, so when you had Swami Satchidananda on, so really to a large extent, you really managed to broaden, let me use the word audience, for these ideas, because people suddenly, who didn't have exposure through the movie, or if they were not at the festival, suddenly they saw this Indian holy man, which might not seem like a big deal now in 2012, but in 1969 there was still a lot of opposition to anyone to talk about spiritual ideas who was not Christian or Jewish.
Well, there still is.
Yes. Yes, you're right. There is.
Yeah,
there is.
it is.
But possibly, is there less? Is the world more sophisticated? If that's, hopefully, that's the correct term.
I think more and more people are understanding what the Eastern philosophy is, and more people are getting into yoga. Yoga is now turning out to be a hundreds of billions of dollar industry, and
yes, it is.
Yeah, it's huge. And normally, what people do is they want to take yoga for the physical effect and see how that works on my body, and tuning myself up. Also, it's good to pick up girls and guys in classes as well.
It can be very good. Yes, it can. Yes, right. That's supposed to be a secret. We're not supposed to know.
I know, but I want to reveal everything today. So, and then after that, they find out what else is there besides the physical exercise. Right. They try meditation, and then they get into the chanting. Now, the chanting of the holy name is the same kind of chanting that is happening all over the world. And You go into the synagogues, the temples, the churches, the mosques, and what do you see them doing when you first walk in? Is they're singing,
Right.
They're chanting their version of what we're doing, and it's all the same. It's all the same. It's everybody's chanting toward their particular deity or their particular God within.
Right. Now, I actually agree with you. Of course, a lot of people do not. So when you brought Satchidananda, who, for some reason, I found him very attractive. I always thought Satchidananda seemed like a lovely, important teacher from our era a long time ago. And he had a lot of influence, did he not?
Yes, he was one of the top people that brought Hatha Yoga. He originated the theory of Hatha Yoga and brought it over from his guru called Swami Shivananda. And you see a lot of the Shivananda ashrams around America, and his ashrams are around also integral yoga institutes.
And those continue to be influential now?
Yes, they all do. They all have teacher training programs, and they all give really great classes around the country.
And one reason why I think yoga is so popular now is because it works. I mean, yoga is popular because it works. And that's why your yoga studios, certainly in Southern California, everywhere, maybe not in every part of the country, but certainly people understand the value of yoga. I mean, as a physical fitness aspect has been picked up very strongly.
You know, it's an interesting concept because this year we're doing 3 festivals this year. And we went out to the Midwest in June. And we took a real bold gamble to take a chanting and yoga and workshop festival to the Midwest. And we picked Madison, Wisconsin.
Which is a very progressive town anyway.
It is,
Yes.
but it's surrounded by not so progressive area, right? So we went in, and they were so receptive. We had 1,200 people come for a 3-day weekend, mostly 35 to 65-year-old people, and they loved it. They were dancing and singing, and every class was packed. Every workshop was full with questions, and they were so appreciative. They were so thankful that we came, and they were most welcoming. Yeah, it was very nice.
Well, and when was that in Madison? That was just the past month?
Yeah, that was in the end of June.
Okay, and yours in the one in Bhakti Fest in
Joshua Tree.
is very shortly coming up, the 6th to the 9th of September.
Yes, we have a 420-acre retreat center down in Joshua Tree. We have swimming, we have camping, we have accommodations. We have air-conditioned buildings that were designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. It's a very beautiful facility. It's been there for like 85 years. We don't own it. We lease the facilities for during that period of time. We have over 90 yoga classes for 4 days, unlimited. You can take 10 a day if you want. All the great teachers from all around the world are coming to teach. And then we have what's called non-stop kirtan. Kirtan is another word for chanting.
Mm-hmm.
So we start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we do not end till midnight on Sunday night. It's the only place in the world currently that this is happening.
What was the impetus for you? Okay, so you introduced Satchidananda at Woodstock, which was really quite a lovely thing historically, in my opinion. I mean, that was like you had influence, really a lot of influence. And so what brought you to Woodstock? I mean, what were you doing, say, in 67, 68, 69? Were you involved with spiritual studies?
Yeah, I was. I was actually one of Swami's main Hatha Yoga teachers, but at the same time, in my regular life, I was Stephen Silberfein, a real estate broker in New York City.
You must have been a pretty young man
I was.
at that point.
I was.
Okay, so you're doing that, and then, so right out of high school, right out of college, you thought the wellness, the ideas of yoga just appealed to you. Is that it?
I did a lot of reading and a lot of studying. I studied a lot of ancient texts and studied a lot of books, but written by. I'm still studying. It's for the whole lifetime. You study and study to try to get deeper into your path or your sadhana. And I've always done that. And then I started learning about health and nutrition and food. And I came across country in 1970, and I actually started the first natural food store in Southern California.
Which was what?
It's called Food Chakra in Topanga Canyon.
And how long did that last? Is it still going?
Yeah, it's still up there. I did that for around 12 years, and then I started a cosmetic company called Desert Essence.
Oh, my goodness. I did not know. Oh, thank you very much. Desert Essence, well, they're great.
Well, I discovered 2 essential oils there. I discovered tea tree oil and brought it to America. which became very famous now, and the use of jojoba oil in various cosmetic products.
Well, Sridhar, you've been influential. It's very nice. You've been influential. Oh my goodness, tea tree oil.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who do not use tea tree oil, tell me what tea tree oil is.
Well, the funny story behind tea tree oil, I was hiking with the Aborigines in 1979 in Australia, and we came upon this lake, and they told me, take your clothes off and jump in the water. They're my elders, so of course you're listening to them. I jumped in, and I jump out screaming because my whole body was burning, especially my private areas, which, of course, later on I found out you're not supposed to use tea tree oil on your private areas. But I looked at my body.
Well, learn by doing.
Yeah. I looked at my body and my skin, and all my cuts and bruises, everything disappeared. It was just phenomenal. And there were all the bushes of tea tree oil, Melaleuca alternifolia, around the lake, and they all seeped into the lake. Normally people don't go there for swimming. But at that point I realized I got to bring this back to the marketplace, and that's how tea tree oil came to America.
I've been in the natural foods biz for a long time, and I did not know that. And I'm actually very happy to know that because, many times it is one person who has an idea and promotes that idea. I understand that Michael Tierra was probably most influential about 1970 promoting the use of echinacea.
Correct.
And then once in Florida in the 70s, I heard John Christopher, the Mormon herbalist, lecture. This was, I think, in, 76 in Hallandale, Florida, center of the universe. And he said that he was influential in making cayenne pepper popular. Before that, it was not used, and he promoted its use. And he told the audience that he was responsible for that. And I thought, okay, I believe that. It's interesting that you have an idea, and the idea is valuable. Other people pick up on the idea, and suddenly everyone uses it, and no one remembers particularly who actually introduced it. But you did a nice thing.
Which is what I tell a lot of the young people today. Don't be afraid. Get an idea. Get creativity inside, and don't be afraid to go out and manifest that, because somebody comes up with a great idea, but they have a lack of funds, or their parents tell them it's a lousy idea, go to work, this and that, and their friends, very little support. But forget about that. Just go out. Success and failure is the same as far as I'm concerned. You just have to get out there and try and do, and manifest your dreams and your goals. Really, just hard work. I'm still digging ditches at the festivals, which I love to do.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. And so when you brought the tea tree oil in, what was the first response? Could you bring it through customs? They thought, what is this? Was it any kind of funny stories on this one? Or?
Well, the funny story about when I first introduced it at the Anaheim Natural Food Show, and I was standing in the aisles in front of my booth, and people would come by, and I would open up a bottle, and I said, hey, this is going to be the next biggest thing, and they'd smell and said, get away from me. I'm not going to put that on my body. And we always go back to that one. It was fun. And we created 67 products for that company.
Desert Essence.
Yeah, and then I sold that.
Desert Essence is still very powerful. They're
it's
still
a huge
everywhere.
Company.
Everywhere.
A huge company.
All right. We're speaking with Shri, who has done many things, including the organizer behind Bhakti Fest, which is occurring in Joshua Tree, September 6th through the 9th. And we'll be right back with Shri after these important messages.
Walk, run, climb, play. Solgar number 7 can help. Feel the difference for yourself. Solgar number 7 actually shows improvement in joint comfort within 7 days. Now you can start to get back on track fast and pursue the activities you love. Solgar number 7 is a breakthrough in joint care with no glucosamine and no chondroitin. The advanced bioactives in Solgar number 7 help to increase flexibility, mobility, range of motion, and actually shows improvement within just 7 days. One capsule, once a day, is all you need. When stiff joints occasionally say no, Solgar number 7 says yes. Visit Solgar.com and learn more about Solgar number 7 today. That's www.solgar.com, www.solgar.com. Solgar number 7, official sponsors of Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane and LA Talk Live. Hey everybody, this is Richard Carr inviting you to join me in the radio boardroom for the new Entrepreneurs Weekly Summit in my all-new day and time. That's right, the new Entrepreneurs Weekly Summit is moving to Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific. So don't forget, the new Entrepreneurs Weekly Summit, now Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific, exclusively here on LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk. We'll see you there.
Hey everybody, it's Miss R&B, and I'm inviting you to come and hang with me every Thursday night at 9 p.m. PST for Perspectives Corner with Rona Rowe Bennett on America Talk Live. Hear and see interviews and live performances from some of our favorite celebrities and personalities in entertainment, sports, business, and the wellness industries. We're getting lifted and we're going deep, talking about life and empowering the champion in us all. See you there.
Hi, this is Kim.
And I'm James.
Inviting you to join us on our all-new reality radio show, Kick Your Assets into Shape.
Every Friday at 10 a.m. beginning June 29th.
Join us on the show that gets your money straight and your business growing.
So don't forget to tune into our show, Kick Your Assets into Shape.
Exclusively on LATalkLive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes.com.
And like us on Facebook at Kick Your Assets into Shape.
Or watch us on Ustream TV.
This is LA Talk Live, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure and more than just talk. We are your hosts, Kim
and James,
of the all-new reality radio show, Kick Your Assets into Shape.
Which boot you gonna use, babe? The steel toe or the pointed one?
No boots on this show.
Oh, man, dang.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. I'm here today with Sridhar, who is the organizer of Bhakti Fest, which is happening in Joshua Tree, September 6th to the 12th of this year. Should be a very nice festival. Just had one out in Madison. And Sridhar has also had a lot of cultural influence. You may have heard that he was at Woodstock introducing Swami Satchidananda, and also introduced tea tree oil to the United States and jojoba oil. Ladies and gentlemen, those are coups, and I want you to know that he's on Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane, and I'm very appreciative. Sridhar, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. No, it's nice to have influence. It's very nice to have influence. And if we could, let's go back to, what was the first book? How did you first bump into yoga?
I think the first book I read was Autobiography of a Yogi.
That was your first book?
I think so.
Oh, my goodness. You started right at the top, didn't you?
Yeah, right. Went right into that. And
I may ask, how old were you when you read that?
I was around 18 years old.
And could you actually read that all the way through? You actually read it all the way through?
Yes.
Okay. And it didn't shock you in any way or anything?
Well, I was kind of advanced in my thinking. I had early experiences with psychedelics, I must say, and
Sure.
I was very aware of a lot of things at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went right into it quickly.
Well, Paramahansa Yogananda's Autobiography of a Yogi, if I had to pick the most important book that I ever read as a young man, or as an older man, I think I'd pick that book.
I think so, too. A lot of books like that, and I went right into a lot of Shivananda books as well,
Mhm.
from the Divine Life Society up in Rishikesh. And I studied a lot of, when Muktananda came to America, I spent 12 years with him as well.
And you found that you just were happy with joining these groups.
You know, it's not a matter of joining groups per se, but I was kind of dissatisfied with religion in the way it was presented.
Mhm.
I grew up in a Jewish household, and I still consider myself Jewish, but I have an influence of Hinduism, so I consider myself a Hindu.
Okay.
So
kind of your own sect there.
Yeah, that's it. But no one has to join. Okay. We're not taking any money.
So let me ask you this question now that you and I are no longer 21. When you were interested in these spiritual teachers, was there much opposition from family that this was somehow a very bad thing?
Absolutely. There was always opposition from family because most people, parents that we grow up with, are living in a state of fear, brought on by the government, brought on by religion and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult for children to break away from that fear base that's going on in people's houses and the peer pressure and stuff like that. But we must take a stand. We must get out and learn about this. I've been a vegetarian for over 40 years. Over 40 years. I actually went to a slaughterhouse in the early 70s to find out exactly what was going on in there. And in those days, it was archaic. It still is today,
Right.
But they cover it up better. But it was amazing. I never touched another piece of flesh after that.
You could show how dirty it was.
Dirty
and brutal.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And let's go back to your folks, if I could ask this question. So, what did your mom and dad say? What did they say to you?
Well, all mom and dads want the same thing for their children. Grow up, become a doctor, become a lawyer. I don't know why, because it's such a corrupt industry now in all those fields. 45% of Americans are on pharmaceutical drugs right now.
Really, that's the number?
Yeah,
45%?
45% are on some sort of medication, and it's all perpetrated by the chemical companies and the pharmaceutical companies and the government. Why are we going to continue to sit and listen to all this stuff? All our parents just listened to what the government said. They said, okay, you needed a shot of polio, everybody went. You needed this, you needed that.
Right.
They just went because the government controls everything.
Right.
So everybody listens to the government because they think that they don't lie. But I think now everybody's realizing with the financial collapse and everything else that they do lie.
Well, also, if I could make one comment about our generation, that we were very different from our parents, probably in many ways, but the way that I seem to notice is when it comes to wellness ideas, the ideas of exercise, of eating carefully, of taking supplements, of wanting a cleaner environment, speaking broadly now about our generation wanted those things, and it was not a big deal. Our parents were not trained to want any of those things, and they were trained in general to be very passive on healthcare issues. And one of the major differences between our thinking and our parents' thinking, again, I'm speaking broadly, is that wellness is just something, it's like not a big deal for us. And I guess for the young ones now, to some extent, they picked up our generation, and it's like they just pushed it further. For example, when I was in the 1970s, I was a raw food vegan for 6 years. I worked for Ann Wigmore and a student of Victoria Sklavinskas. And the young ones today, Dave Wolf is not so young anymore, I guess, but all the young men and women who are vegans, they added goji berries, they added maca, they added cacao. I mean, all the things that we did not use, that we frankly did not really know about in 1973 or something, well, they just added all that to the literature. So they have really added to the literature.
You definitely have, and we have some of them coming to our event in September. We have a whole series of workshops. Besides the yoga and the chanting, we have workshops going on from 9 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night for the 4 days. David Wolf is coming. A whole bunch of other people are coming for workshops. They're not just chanting or yoga workshops. They're food workshops. There are aromatherapy workshops. There are Ayurvedic. There are, astrology workshops. We want to cover all areas.
And how much of a turnout are you expecting for this Bhakti Fest?
This Bhakti Fest will have around 2,500 to 3,000 people.
So that's a pretty good turnout, isn't it?
It's a wonderful turnout. We love it.
And how many years have you been running this?
This is our 4th year, but this is our 7th festival that we put on. It's more like a retreat than a festival. People come, they leave all their cares at home. Families are welcome to bring children. They're free, under 12 years old. It's just a wonderful environment. We have a big pool, and we have a kids tent so that parents can drop off the kids, and they have arts and crafts and learning different kind of yoga styles, and the parents can go and explore and enjoy the facilities and what we have to offer. There's 3 yoga halls. We have nonstop yoga from 7 in the morning to 7 at night, dance parties late at night. There's no alcohol, there's no meat. It's a very, very clean environment. It's not what you deal with every day. You're getting away from. I just heard somebody just mention the other day. He asked a question to Ram Dass, and I was just visiting Ram Dass on Maui, and he said, Ram Dass, I go out every weekend. It's the same thing. We go to clubs and we pick up girls or guys and smoking and drinking and I keep telling my friends I don't want to be doing this every single day and every single week, and how do I explain it to them that I want something different and I want to get more into my yoga and into my meditation? And that's the key. You see,
what did Ram Dass say?
Ram Dass says, don't follow the peer pressure. Stay with what you're doing, and if you have to just go and do your own thing, go ahead and do your own thing. But everybody's just following the group and following the peer pressure, and really we got to break through that. We have to teach love and compassion for the kids, and we create an environment where that is. There's no violence at our place. There's no rock and roll. There's no craziness. It's really a very clean and pure environment.
And who's the crowd for? Is it once again the 35 to 65 crowd?
Yeah, well, we have teenagers, we have 20s, we have everywhere up to 70s. We have senior citizens that come and do yoga, and they love it out there. They come from Palm Springs area. It's a very nice environment.
Well, and speaking of Ram Dass, his book Be Here Now. I remember when I read that book, I thought I just somehow really enjoyed that book. I thought I enjoyed it because I read a lot of spiritual books and I thought, I can't relate to this one. But I read Autobiography of a Yogi, and the first time I read it about halfway through it, and I thought, I'm not ready for this, and I put it down. And then 2 years later, I read it again, and I thought, this is fantastic. And when I read Be Here Now, I thought, wow. I just thought, this is nice for me. I'm just enjoying this book. I wasn't sure what it meant for other people because I found most of my friends were not completely disinterested in reading Be Here Now. But I thought, this just seems great. And he seemed great.
Sold millions and millions of copies and changed the consciousness for so many different people.
He did. He also had a lot of influence. He had a lot of influence as well. I met him once at 1973 at the Boston Dharma Festival. He was running around and he was influential. I enjoyed reading his books and kind of following his career a little bit. And I read Tim Leary's autobiography. Did you read Tim Leary's autobiography? And I thought, frankly, it gave me a sense of Tim Leary, which I did not have as a young man. You see someone on TV or in magazines, and I had a very one-dimensional position about him. And only when I read his autobiography did I have a sense of him as a man, the struggles that he had with his own family and with acceptance in his family and his career struggles and his marriage struggles. And I read the autobiography and I thought, I liked him a lot. I liked him a lot as a man. I thought, okay, here's a guy who struggled with a lot of stuff. Because as a young man, I saw him on TV. It was very one-dimensional. It was just Tim Leary with this message. Not that I necessarily bought into the drug message. I didn't necessarily at all buy into it. But I thought, Tim Leary, okay, I respect some of Tim Leary's ideas. But when I read his autobiography, I liked him much more. And I thought he took one funny shot at Ram Dass. He called him everyone's favorite Unitarian minister. And I thought that was unfair, by the way, because I don't think it was accurate, but I thought it was funny. It was kind of a funny shot, because I guess he was annoyed that Richard went on to be, in general, liked by most people and had clout. And continues to have clout. I mean, he influences people. And Tim Leary, to some extent, went off into a little bit of obscurity.
Yeah, I feel that way, and I was closer to Ram Dass throughout that whole period of time. We've been friends for around 40 some odd years, and I brought him over to Maui around 2004.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the guise of doing a retreat with me, because he was not living in a proper environment. I got him over there and just took very good care of him and got him doctors and nurses and assistants and got a house for him, and he's changed his whole eating habits and his lifestyle and is really flourishing at 82 years old now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. He had a stroke, did he not?
He had a stroke in the 90s, and his whole left side is paralyzed, and I think it's the right side, yeah. And so he's doing great now.
So has he come back a little bit from that?
Oh, yeah. He's still talking and giving lectures, and every month you can see him on his website, Love, Serve, and Remember. And part of our proceeds, we have 5 or 6 charities that we support in various parts of the world. A couple of them in India, Food for Life, Vrindavan, who has beautiful feeding programs for children in orphanages and schools and primary schools and stores, and all their money goes to the kids. So we like to take a portion of the proceeds from Bhakti Fest and donate it to these 5 charities.
Are you involved with Ram Dass Seva Foundation as well?
No, Ram Dass started the Seva Foundation. Actually, they're one of the groups that we do send money to. Yeah, I'm not personally involved with what they're doing, but we do support them.
And he, of course, took a very strong stand in his life. He was a very wealthy young man, and did he literally give all his money away?
He gave all his money away, and he gave away all the rights to the monies from Be Here Now. So he never derived any funds from that.
Right. And you know, so I guess when the rubber meets the road, I mean, this guy really decided this is what he's going to do. And I tell you the truth, I don't think I have the background myself to have done that, having not done that. But when I read that he had done that, I thought, okay, this guy really wants to lead a better life. And I thought, boy, when it comes to thinkers of influence my generation, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's had influence in a very positive fashion.
You know, it comes down to what we call SEVA, S-E-V-A, which is service, compassionate service to other beings. You know, and taking ourselves out of the picture and looking at all the damages and the negativity in the world today, and just getting out there and doing the best we can. We have a food drive at the Bhakti Fest. We encourage people to bring cans of food and boxes of food, and then we donate it to the local food banks. You know, if we're doing well, we want other people to be doing well as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're interested in this conversation. I'm certainly enjoying the conversation here with Sridhar, speaking about his Bhakti Fest, which is coming up again at Joshua Tree, September 6th to the 9th here in California, and had one in Madison. And what about, you have some others coming up?
Well, this is our 3rd one for the year, and then next year we're planning on going back East Coast to Philadelphia area, the Southeast, the Southwest. We want to expand Bhakti. We want to bring Bhakti to all the areas of the country. There's a lot of festivals that follow us, that copy us a lot, but it's never.
That's kind of flattering.
It is to a certain extent, but it's not anything near what you get with us.
Okay. And by the way, what's the cost to get into for the 3 days?
It's actually very reasonable. It's around $200, $250. There's some sales going on. There's $50 discount coupons. Depends on just getting on our website and weaving in between there. There's a volunteer program, so you don't have to cost anything. You just volunteer and work a couple hours each day and join the family.
Okay, so let me have us give me more information on this so we can actually get it. What's the information? How can they find out about Bhakti
Let's
Fest?
go to www.bhakti, B-H-A-K-T-I, Fest, F-E-S-T, all one word, .com. And everything's on there. We have videos on there. We have gallery of pictures and music. It's a very elaborate, beautiful website. You can get lost in there for a couple of days. It talks about our charities. It's a very alive. And I think we have waiting online today some of our guest kirtan chanters.
Nestor, we have some people on the line? Yes. Okay, sure. Let's bring them on. Sure thing. Hi, who's this?
C.C. White.
Oh, C.C. White. Hi.
C.C. White. Hi. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you for joining us here, and thanks for hanging on the line. I'm sorry I forgot that you were on the line there for a couple more minutes.
Can I be honest with you? I think the conversation is absolutely fascinating. I think it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
C.C., are you going to sing for us?
Right now?
Yeah, but possibly chanting. You tell me, C.C. I'm happy to have you on.
I don't know, Sridhar. Would you like for me to chant something
right
now?
Yeah. Well, why don't you talk a little bit about your coming to Bhakti Fest and the fact that we had you since the beginning, and how much I love your music, and how we got into the gospel kirtan situation.
Well, first and foremost, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Bhakti Fest will change your life. For those who want to spend for the most quality-filled, love-filled, pure, bliss-filled days, it really does change you. I speak from experience. A lot of people have said the same thing from their hearts and their souls, and it's just worth it completely. There's a lot of different, as Sridhar said, styles of kirtan. Introduced, it opens you up to different cultures, and for the kind of kirtan that I do, it's called soul kirtan, and it's gospel, R&B, soul, old school Southern blues, a little bit of Latin. It's mixed everything together, and it's from my roots, from what I was born with, and I blended it with kirtan, and that was the result. And one thing about Bhakti Fest is it lets you share all different types of kirtan, which I think is really important, and I think it's necessary. I think it's a gift.
Cece, my question for you is, for the listeners who aren't familiar with the term kirtan, what does kirtan mean?
Kirtan. Well, kirtan is the call and response chanting of the deities and the deities and the beautiful gods and goddesses and the names, and it evokes. It's been going on for a very, very long time. It's a time-honored and beloved form of music, if you will. It's hard to explain because it's so beautiful. For some people, it's very, very. For everyone, it's blissful. For some people, it's very vibration-based as far as the words that move your chakras. For some people, it's very, very loved and very, very much a divine experience. It helps you to reach your higher self. It's a lot of different things that are wrapped into one. And that's the beautiful thing about it. If you don't know a lot about kirtan, it really doesn't matter. If you know a lot about what kirtan is, it's all good. Everyone can step in and experience it. No one feels left out if you don't know what the words mean. I feel you will be curious and want to know what they mean after you've experienced just one time.
Okay, and Cece, what days are you going to be performing at the Bhakti Fest? What days are you playing?
What day am I going to be performing?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be on from Saturday, from 5 to 7 o'clock.
But
Saturday.
She's there the whole weekend playing with other groups, but her particular set is at Friday.
Okay. Cece, thank you very much. We have another kirtan singer who's on the line. And who's this? No, they decided not to call us. Okay. Nestor, my sound man's working with that. Yes, Cece.
For the entire weekend, I'll be performing with a lot of different people, but I go on Saturday. But
I'm listening to you.
To settle in and get there Thursday.
Okay.
And stay.
Yeah. And by the way, do you have any? Use this old-fashioned term. Do you have any albums out?
Do I have any what?
Do you have any albums out?
CDs.
CDs these days, right? Any CDs? But albums sound so much richer to me. I don't know quite why. I like it.
Yes, I do. I have just released a CD called "This Is So Kirtan," which is still on the iTunes World Chart. It's doing really well, and I released it at Bhakti Fest last year, which was very, very special to me.
Great CD, by the way.
Well, let me have the name of that CD once again.
Say it again.
CC, the name of the CD.
This is Soul Kirtan.
This is Soul Kirtan. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure hearing your voice, and maybe I'll see you out there in Bhakti Fest. That'd be very nice.
You're going to be there?
I'm not really sure. If I convince my wife, maybe I'm run out there and take a look. Yes.
Yes, he's definitely coming out for the day.
Come out for the day, right?
I think you should come. I think you should experience what we're talking about.
Yeah, probably be a lot of fun, really.
Why don't we do a live broadcast?
Well, I have to convince the team out here. Yes, I would be happy to do that. I convinced Richard, the owner, and Nestor, and convince them. They might do it.
Sridhar, with a personality like his, I think we'd want him to come out there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think it would be great.
Thank you. Well, thanks for calling in. And who else do we have on the line? Nobody yet. No one is calling in.
We had a surprise guest, but they've been trying to get in. Your phones are so busy.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, it is.
So we're chatting with Sridhar, who is the innovator behind a number of things, including tea tree oil and jojoba oil. Those of you who use tea tree oil, you can thank Sridhar, which actually is a nice thing to be able to have added to popular language, quite frankly. And he now has these Bhakti Fests going on here in West Coast and shortly the East Coast. And, well, it sounds kind of impressive. Okay, who's on the line now? Hi, this is Josh. Who is this?
Is that KD?
Hi there.
Krishnadas?
This is not a mime show, so who is it? Krishnadas? They hung up? There he is. Krishnadas, hi, this is Josh Lane. Are you there?
Okay, hi, how you doing?
Very, very good. Thank you for calling in. We're chatting. This is Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. Are you also performing at Bhakti Fest at Joshua Tree?
Oh yeah, definitely I'll be there.
And you are a spiritual singer?
You said it, I didn't.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And you perform at a variety of the yoga centers around. I know I've seen your picture in a yoga journal many times.
Yeah. I just travel around doing the chanting that I learned to do in India in the old days. Yeah.
And can I ask,
when I lived in India,
who did you study with in India in the old days?
My guru was Neem Karoli Baba. Same guru as Ram Dass.
Oh, I see.
And I lived with him for almost 3 years. And he taught me about love.
Wow, that's very interesting. I do remember reading, I guess, in one of Ram Dass's books that many people wanted to work with that guru, and he didn't want to work with everyone. He just picked a few people that he wanted to teach and work with. So I guess it's a nice thing that he picked you. I guess that really is very helpful.
It saved my life.
Yeah. And you have always been a musician?
Well, I guess you could say that. I've always loved music. I've always played music. I didn't do it professionally for a long time, but for the last 15, 20 years I've been traveling and doing this chanting. So that's what it is now.
Krishnadas is one of the old favorites of everyone in the world. He works very tirelessly. He travels 360 days a year all over the world, bringing the sacred mantras, the sacred chanting to everybody who comes.
Wow.
There's only a few people like him, and he's pretty much number one in my books.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I tell you the truth, I've never spoken to you, but I certainly know your name because I read, Yoga Journal and LA Yoga, which, by the way, I find is a very nice publication, LA Yoga. I read it's a free one. You get it. I pick it up at Erewhon, wherever I am, pick it up. And every time I read it, I think to myself, I enjoy reading this free publication. It's like I feel a little silly because usually free newspapers are so awful. But when I read LA Yoga, I think, my goodness, I'm enjoying reading these articles and they seem to be consistently good articles too. Wow.
Very good.
Yeah, good people. Good people.
You're good bringing in the yoga name and the chanting and the festival names out in the public. It's a good publication. KD has written a beautiful book just recently. It's a very nice seller. And KD, why don't you talk a little bit about the book and how you got to write it?
The book talks about my life and how I met Maharaji Neem Karoli Baba, and then he left the body, and I was back in America, floundering pretty badly, not doing too well, and then I had to find my way back into chanting and into my own heart. I kind of lost that connection. And chanting is what saved me, and so I write a lot about what it means to me and how I do it, and the kind of things I went through on finding the way back to my own heart.
So, Krishnadas, if I can ask a personal question, so you came back to the United States, and you found that family and friends were not particularly responsive to your experience in India, and you just were kind of at a loss.
No, it wasn't that. It was that Maharaji had died.
Yes.
And then that's what killed me, because I got attached to him emotionally as well and physically, and so that wasn't deep enough. And so when he died, I felt that I had lost my only chance to be happy.
I see.
So I had to go deeper inside myself to find that love and to find his presence within me, and that's what's happening. It's still happening. It's a process that goes on and on.
So in retrospect,
family and friends were great.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
Okay, so in retrospect, you would say that the suffering you felt upon his death was unnecessary. In retrospect, is that it? What you're saying now?
No, it was necessary to push me into finding the love inside of me.
Okay, I see.
And not being dependent on the outside world.
Sure.
And outer things, external things. Yeah, and it was very important to me. I wouldn't necessarily choose that, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody else, but for me, it was part of my path. It was my path. I had to go through that.
Wow. Well, it's interesting. I'm happy to have you on the line. I appreciate you calling in. We've been chatting with Sridhar, the founder, and Krishnadas on the phone, and Cece on the phone, the founder of BhaktiFest, who has a long history of promoting important ideas in the United States, as it turns out, and he's now working with BhaktiFest, and the next one will be held at Joshua Tree, September 6th through the 9th, in 2012 right here. And so I would like to thank Krishnadas for calling in and Sridhar for being a guest today. And I would like to thank you for listening to Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. We'll be right back next week.
For more information about the guests and sponsors of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, please call us at 818-707-0005.